Hey guys, welcome to the Monsters Lair. This is your host, Monster69, and today I will be reviewing Kingdom Come Deliverance, an open world first person view role playing game which happened to be my favorite genre, so I couldn't wait to sink my teeth into this particular game. This game was released in February 2018 and it was developed by a very small team in Czechoslovakia, a very small studio called Warhorse Studios. In this game, guys, you play as Henry, who's a wonderful protagonist, I have to say. Henry, not only is he funny, he's witty, he is full of hope, he has a sense of honor, he's loyal, he's everything I could ever want. If I was going night clubbing like I used to back in the day, he'd be the perfect wingman to go with if he was real. So he's an absolute joy to play with. And Henry starts off as a simple peasant who is a son to a blacksmith living in a village primarily known for their silver mining. Now this game is based in Europe, it's based in Bohemia at a very interesting time in history when the Roman Empire is kind of collapsing on itself and all these other city-states or nation-states are looking to fill in that void. And one of those nations, up-and-coming nation-states, is the country of Hungary. And it's Hungary who kind of decides to invade Bohemia at this time, and Henry's village takes the brunt essentially. His village gets invaded by bandits and Hungarians, and his parents get slaughtered and his village gets destroyed. So Henry starts off not only as an orphan but also as a refugee at the beginning of the game. So Henry now embarks on a quest to avenge his father's death and also to retrieve his father's sword. It was the last sword that his father made before he passed away. So they're the two main sort of motivations that Henry uses to step out into the wider world and begin his adventures. Now in my review, guys, I'm going to have a bit of a different format. I'm going to have a good section, so the good points about the game or the strengths, a bad or weaknesses section about the game, and then I'm going to summarize it all and give you guys all a score. So starting off with the positives or the good, one of them is the mind-boggling deep role-playing mechanics of this game, guys. If you like hardcore role-playing games, this is the game for you. This is not a casual game. It has very deep mechanics and numerous systems that you have to manage. For example, Henry gets tired, so you need to find a place to sleep. Henry gets hungry, so you need to eat food, but don't overeat because that will debuff you, and watch out, you might poison yourself if you eat food that has gone rotten. And now there's different types of food. Some food like meat rots really quickly, some food like apple don't rot that quickly, and then you've got nuts and stuff which don't rot at all. So even in the world of eating food within this mechanic, you can see the level of detail these guys have gone down into. The alchemy system is wonderful. It's like an alchemy simulator. You really have to use your brain to get things done. I like the fact that they don't hold your hands in the quests. Again, you really have to think things through. There is points of interest generally speaking, but to actually complete a quest you need to think things through. You might have to use some brain power, that's right ladies and gentlemen, to achieve end quest in some cases. So I love all that stuff. Another positive is the detail of the combat. For example, the bow there's no reticule on the screen. You literally have to manually aim this bow and you have to practice it. That's what I loved about this game. You literally have to practice shooting a bow to get better at it. The melee side of things, the melee experience has got a foot in the good part of my review and a foot in the bad part of my review. I mean, it's detailed in the way that there's numerous types of swings. There's numerous types of, or not numerous, but there's a few different counters. There's different types of weapons. So that's all positives. It's like a medieval simulator. There's no fireballs or anything like that. It's all very, grounded and down to earth, which is great. The way that you dress impacts the social, the social impact you have on people. Nobles like to speak with other people that are dressed finely, and soldiers apparently like to speak with people dressed similar to them, and peasants and stuff don't like to speak to nobles or whatever, right? So the way that you dress actually impacts the way that someone interacts with you. If you've got blood on your tunic, if you've got blood on your weapon, that will scare people off. If you've got your weapon drawn, they will react to that. So wonderful level of detail as well in regards to the social interaction in this game. Another really interesting thing is the time never really stops. Everything is in real time. Everyone has their place in this world. So for example, if you get a quest and you're meant to meet someone somewhere, you need to meet them at the time they tell you, or they will go and do that quest without you. There is no people spawning and going invisible and turning up at a quest site just because you've decided to do it 400 hours later. So that's all wonderful. The story is extremely solid. The voice acting is amazing, and the cutscenes are also, they're not amazing, but they're extremely solid. I felt like I was watching Game of Thrones half the time. So really well done story, really fleshed out characters, albeit, Henry seems to be the main character, and he's surrounded by a bunch of secondary characters, but they're all very well fleshed out. They all have realistic motivations, and none of it breaks any immersion. So, there are two really good quests that I'll never forget. One of them is when you're undercover in the monastery, is amazing. The other one is when you have a really, really good night with one of the priests, let's say, and it's a night you'll never forget. Let me say that. So there are some stories that I'll never forget, which is all you can ask from a game, right? Sometimes you play games, you move on to the next game, and everything is deleted from the 20 hours that you've put into the previous game. So that's all wonderful. Now, the bad side of Kingdom Come Deliverance. First of all, when I bought this game, guys, the game was just released. So it has been patched enormously since the time of release. So please take my review with a grain of salt. When I bought it, it was extremely unstable. It was crashing, there was bugs, it was getting stuck. I lost about 4 hours of gameplay. I asked my friends to record how many hours they lost. Between two of them, shout out to Mega Kaza 1 and Fortis85, those guys lost about 16 hours between the two of them. That averages about 8 hours each. So a lot of instability, causing a lot of frustration, combined with the save system that was a very hardcore save system where you had to actually find a place to sleep or drink some schnapps that you had to make. These two things combined, and you had a recipe for disaster. So that was a little bit frustrating. Again, the melee side I found a little bit frustrating. I ended up just jabbing my way to victory. Yes, it's cheesy, but the game allowed me to do it. So at the end of it, I couldn't be bothered doing combos. I couldn't get many of the combinations out. Maybe it was my skill level, but I enjoyed the bow a lot more. I love the bow. When you hit someone from long range, man, that feels good, because you literally, as I said, you have to aim yourself. The environmental rendering, again, was very subpar. You kind of do realize it's a small team that's developed this game when you play it. When you're running through the field on horseback and the frame rate requirements through the roof, things are popping in and popping out wildly. It's quite noticeable. I'm not sure if it's improved, but just Google it and find out if that's something of importance to you. But don't let it stop you from buying it, actually, because the storyline, the characters, the world, all the other deep mechanics are more than enough to make you even ignore the crashes and ignore the kind of struggle that the engine has to render these environments around you. So in summary, guys, I can see what they were set out to achieve, Warhorse Studios. It was extremely ambitious with the small team that they had in hand, and I give them a massive pat in the back for releasing this game. To be honest, yes, it had bugs. Yes, the graphics are a little bit subpar. The rendering's a little bit subpar, but the story, the characters, the deep mechanics at play for role-playing fans, all come together nicely, apart from a few little bit of flaws, like the lock-picking mechanic wasn't very good and the melee side of thing gets a bit tedious, but everything else kind of works together smoothly. Not everything works together smoothly, but most of it comes together to deliver a very well told story with great characters and fun mechanics for those that like hardcore role-playing mechanics. So thank you for watching the show, guys. I give it a 3.5 out of 5 human skulls. If it was like highly stable, I'd probably give it a 4. See you next time. Oh yeah.